A person set up a wildlife camera deep in the woods, hoping to capture deer and other animals as they passed by. For days, the footage showed nothing unusual. But one day, while reviewing the recordings, this image stood out. Perched in a tree was a dark, humanoid figure with glowing eyes. It appeared to be staring directly at the camera. The owner claimed no one lives nearby, and the camera was placed on private land far from trails or roads. So what did the camera capture out there in the forest that night? Two friends were walking home through the dense woods of northern Mexico when something caught their attention. From behind a tree, a pair of glowing eyes stared straight at them. They froze for a moment, filming the eerie sight, before adrenaline took over and they ran as fast as they could. It didn't feel like an animal. To them, it moved far too human-like. A villager in Iran was investigating strange noises coming from a nearby mountain. As he moved closer to the sound, something truly unsettling came into view. Perched on a peak ahead was a dark humanoid figure with what appeared to be a red face. The figure remained still, watching from the rocky slope. Unfortunately, the footage never becomes clear enough to identify exactly what the man encountered that night. But whatever it was, it looked absolutely terrifying. Reddit user Serpent95's friend filmed a normal video in Thailand, without realizing she had captured one of the scariest clips of her life. When she reviewed the video later, after returning home to Sweden, she noticed something strange. As she walked along with a dog behind her, a dark, cloaked figure seemed to move beside them. The dog didn't react at all. To this day, she has no idea what it could have been, but it still creeps her out. TikTok user Big Island Thieves Media was out on a casual hike when something strange started happening, prompting him to start recording. As he walked, small rocks suddenly began falling from the sky. At first it seemed mysterious, but there was a real explanation behind the event. The video is dated January 24th, 2026, the same day the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory reported that episode 41 of the ongoing Kilauea summit eruption had begun that morning. The eruption was ejecting volcanic debris high into the air. Some of that material, small rocks and fragments, eventually fell back down in surrounding areas. So what looked like rocks randomly falling from the sky was actually volcanic fallout. Why the man chose to stay outside while debris was raining down is unclear, because being outdoors during falling volcanic material is definitely not safe. A man was hiking in the forest when something unusual appeared among the trees, and he quickly recorded this footage. A dark, bulky humanoid figure could be seen moving slowly between the trees. The man claimed it was a legitimate sighting of Bigfoot, and said he had seen the creature before in the same area. Some viewers believe it could simply be a person wearing a realistic costume. Others believe the man's story. So who do you believe? A person was hiking during a heavy rainstorm, thunder rolling in the distance, lightning tearing across the sky. And then they captured this. Within the storm clouds, a shape appeared, seemingly drawing the lightning toward it. It looked like something was suspended in the sky. Too defined to be random cloud cover, too unclear to fully identify. What do you think was concealed in those clouds that day? A group of people was watching an eclipse when something utterly strange appeared in the sky. At first, it looked like a bright, flaming orb. But then they noticed something even more unusual. On top of the glowing orb, something appeared to be standing or sitting. Some viewers suggested the orb itself could be explained by a natural phenomenon. Whatever appeared on top of it makes a scene much harder to explain. So was it simply a rare optical illusion, or something far stranger? In February 2003, a YouTuber named Fur Boots and a few friends had just moved to England. They were fascinated with the paranormal. One evening, they began wandering the streets of London, asking strangers where they might find the most haunted place nearby. Eventually, an older man pointed them toward an abandoned psychiatric hospital. When they arrived, the building had already been demolished. Still determined to experience something strange, the group kept walking for hours. Eventually, they found themselves at Rotting Valley Park. They spent the night there talking, smoking, and taking a few photos as they sat around the park. At first, everything seemed completely normal, but later in the night, they suddenly felt the temperature drop. Two of them began shivering uncontrollably. During that moment, one of them took a photo while sitting on a bench. At first glance, the picture looked ordinary. When they later increased the brightness and contrast, they noticed something unsettling. A faint, indistinct figure appeared in the frame. Even years later, none of them had been able to explain what they captured that night. A TikTok user named Ben Trolley was walking alone through the woods at night when he suddenly felt the unmistakable sensation of being watched. Pausing and shining his flashlight in the direction of the feeling, he caught sight of something terrifying. A humanoid shape emerged from the darkness, with glowing eyes staring directly at him. It stepped partially out of the bushes and remained still for several seconds, seemingly aware of the man's presence. The man quickly stopped recording and ran. Some believe it resembles descriptions of the cryptid known as the rake, while others argue it could be a normal animal caught in the camera's light, appearing distorted due to distance and zoom. In the early hours of May 14, 2008, 19-year-old Brandon Swanson was driving home in rural Minnesota after finishing a night of classes at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. Somewhere along the dark country roads between Marshall and his hometown of Canby, Brandon's car slid off the gravel road and ended up stuck in a ditch. He wasn't injured. At around 1:54 a.m., Brandon called his parents and explained what happened. Because he couldn't free the car, he decided to walk toward what he believed were the lights of the nearby town of Lind, while keeping his parents on the phone so they could find him. For nearly 47 minutes, they stayed connected. As Brandon walked through the darkness, he described what he was seeing: fences, fields, gravel roads, and uneven terrain. Meanwhile, his parents drove around the area trying to locate him, flashing their headlights and calling his name. Then, at about 2:30 a.m., as he continued walking, Brandon suddenly said 2 words: "Oh shit," and the call went silent. His parents tried calling back immediately, but Brandon never answered. The next day, authorities located his Chevy Lumina stuck in a ditch along a rural road near Taunton, Minnesota, far from where he believed he was. Search teams, helicopters, tracking dogs, and hundreds of volunteers combed the farmland, gravel roads, and nearby rivers. Tracking dogs followed Brandon's scent for a distance, until it abruptly stopped near the Yellow Medicine River. Despite extensive searches over the years, no trace of Brandon Swanson has ever been found. His disappearance became so significant that Minnesota later passed Brandon's Law, requiring law enforcement to take missing adult cases seriously when there are signs of danger. More than 15 years later, the mystery remains. What caused Brandon to shout those final words? Did he fall into the river, encounter someone, or something else entirely? We may never know. If you have any information about this case that could help bring closure to Brandon's family, please contact the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office in Minnesota. A woman was driving through Alberta, Canada, when she noticed something unusual in the distance and quickly pulled out her phone to record. The video, later shared on TikTok by user Nevzy, shows a large group of people dressed entirely in white walking in a perfectly straight line across an empty field. Their movements appear slow and coordinated, almost ritualistic. Because of the all-white clothing and the formation, many viewers began comparing the scene to well-known cult groups. The original uploader later posted an update claiming the group was actually a Ukrainian choir filming a video. However, many viewers remained skeptical. Whether it truly was a choir rehearsal or something else entirely, the unusual scene continues to leave people uneasy. A woman named Jill had gone out for a simple walk at the iJams Nature Center in Knoxville, hoping to clear her head after a stressful day.
This dude's just sitting here staring at me.
But her peaceful stroll quickly turned unsettling when she noticed a man following her.
He gave me a weird feeling.
Nervous but determined, Jill pulled out her phone and started recording, sending the video to a friend just in case something happened.
He went out on that overlook right there.
For 10 long minutes, the man didn't leave, adjusting his position in ways that made her uneasy.
I realized that nobody was coming.
When he approached her directly, she let out a scream. A couple nearby came to check, but Jill knew she couldn't rely on them. Using a stick for protection, she bravely chased the man out of the park, refusing to let fear take over. Her video went viral, helping authorities identify and capture him. Luckily, she managed to get away, but if she hadn't, terrifying. The Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization shared an interesting photo on Facebook. At first glance, it looks like a normal hiking picture. A man stands on the trail, completely unaware of anything unusual around him. When you look closer, something appears to be standing just a few feet away. Rising from the brush in front of him is a tall, dark shape. There seems to be a head, broad shoulders, and a solid body partially hidden among the trees. The figure blends almost perfectly into the surroundings. Of course, there's a much simpler explanation. It could be pareidolia, the human brain turning shadows, branches, and uneven foliage into something that looks human. Maybe it's just a twisted tree trunk, a broken branch, or a patch of darker leaves creating the illusion of a face and shoulders. But supporters argue that Bigfoot is often described as a master of camouflage, standing still and blending into forests, just like this. So when you look at the image, what do you see? A man shared a chilling video he captured late at night near his home, showing what he believed was a stranded woman walking slowly toward the woods behind his property. At first, she seemed like someone lost or in need of help. Instead of calling out from a distance, he decided to follow her, keeping her in frame as he moved through the brush. Then, in a brief moment, she turned, and according to the man, her face wasn't there at all. No eyes, no mouth, just a smooth, blank surface. What happened next is unknown. If the footage is real, why would anyone chase a stranger alone at night, especially into a dense forest? This person was staying in a rural area of the French Alps when late at night, something unusual in the sky caught their attention. A bright blue light streaked from the clouds toward the ground. The distance and the thick cloud cover made it difficult to identify what was producing the light. Some viewers suggested it could have been an atmospheric phenomenon, such as lightning reflecting through ice crystals or other natural causes. Others thought it resembled descriptions often associated with UFO sightings. So what do you think it was? This hiker was exploring a remote forest trail somewhere in the United States. He had gone out alone, hoping to enjoy a quiet walk and capture some peaceful nature footage. For a while, everything seemed calm, but suddenly he heard rustling in the distance. Curious, he turned his camera toward the sound, and that's when he captured this. Moving between the trees, only a short distance away, a dark figure could be seen walking upright. It appeared large and moved quickly through the forest. The hiker tried to follow it, but within seconds, the figure slipped deeper into the woods and vanished. In December 2021, a New Zealand father named Tom Phillips disappeared into the wilderness with his 3 children from the small rural town of Maricopa. Authorities believe he took them after losing legal custody, and when he failed to appear in court in 2022, a nationwide search began. The area surrounding Maricopa is incredibly rugged, dense bush, steep hills, caves, and a harsh coastline. Phillips was known locally as an experienced bushman and hunter, which many people believe helped him survive in the wilderness for years while avoiding the police. Over time, there were occasional sightings. In 2023, people reported seeing Phillips and the children near the remote areas of the Waikato region. In one widely shared video filmed by teenagers in October 2024, the group could be seen walking through thick bushes, all wearing camouflage clothing and carrying large backpacks. When the teenagers asked them if anyone knew they were there, the child reportedly replied, "Only you." Authorities also suspected Phillips may have been involved in several break-ins and robberies during those years, possibly searching for supplies. The case gripped the entire country. Then, in the early hours of September 8, 2025, everything suddenly came to an end. Police responded to a reported robbery at a commercial property in the small town of Pio Pio. Officers soon spotted Tom Phillips riding a quad bike with one of his children. A pursuit began. Police deployed road spikes, forcing the quad bike off the road. When officers approached, gunfire erupted. One officer was struck in the head and seriously injured. A second police unit responded, and the confrontation ended with Tom Phillips being fatally wounded at the scene. The child who had been with him was found alive. That child later provided crucial information that helped police locate the other two children at a remote campsite deep in the bush later that same day. All three children were found alive and physically unharmed, ending the nearly 4-year search. The children's mother later said she was deeply relieved that the ordeal had finally come to an end, though she also described the outcome as heartbreaking. Even now, many people in New Zealand continue to ask difficult questions. How did a father manage to hide with 3 children in the wilderness for nearly 4 years? Did anyone secretly help them survive out there? And what really happened during those long years in the bush? A woman returned home around 4 o'clock in the morning and immediately noticed something unusual in the snow outside her house and her neighbours. Fresh footprints circled the entire property. They formed a strange pattern, as if something had slowly walked around the homes in the dark. Confused and unsettled, she began recording. The prints appeared large. They didn't resemble dog tracks, and they didn't look like anything she recognized. What disturbed her most wasn't just the size. It was the lack of a clear trail. There were no visible footprints leading up to the area. It was as if something had simply appeared there, walked in circles around the property, and then vanished. Some suggested the wind may have covered part of the tracks, but even if that explains the missing trail, who or what made those prints in the first place? 2 cavers were navigating a narrow limestone passage known as the Z-Bend, a notoriously tight Z-shaped squeeze inside Pettyjohn's Cave on Pigeon Mountain, Georgia. This popular, wild cave is known for being extremely muddy and cold, around 56 degrees Fahrenheit. The first caver entered feet first, lying on his belly, and warned the second about the tight squeeze ahead. The second caver followed, this time on his back. As he reached the bend, the limestone seemed to close in around him. His chest was pressed tight against the walls, each breath growing more difficult. Panic set in quickly when he realized he could neither move forward nor back. The others heard his desperate calls for help. A rescue began immediately. One teammate pushed from behind, while another tried to pull him from the front. The stone walls were unforgiving, resisting every effort to free him. Unfortunately, there were no further updates on what happened next, so I'm hoping they got out. 2 friends were visiting Gettysburg when one of them decided to take this photo while exploring the area. The picture shows a bridge at night, with their friend standing on the other side, holding a flashlight. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but later, when they looked at the image again, something unsettling caught their attention. In the middle of the bridge, a faint, blurry figure appears to be walking, barely visible in the darkness. What makes it even stranger is that according to them, no one else was on the bridge when the photo was taken. Reddit user Disastrous AD1150 shared a story from decades ago in Niantic, Connecticut, dating back to October 1979. His uncle was riding with his grandmother to wrestling practice, traveling along a quiet road beside the Niantic River, when she suddenly stopped the car and took this photo. Years later, after she passed away, the family discovered the picture tucked away among her belongings. When her grandson first saw it, he didn't know what to make of the strange object visible in the sky. Some people argue it could simply be a frisbee or even a hubcap caught mid-air. But according to the family, his grandmother was known as a very practical, no-nonsense person, not someone who would stop her car just to throw something into the air and photograph it. And that's what makes the old snapshot so unsettling. It was taken by someone who had no reason to stage anything. So was it just an ordinary object caught at the perfect moment, or did that photo capture something far more extraordinary in the sky that day? A person, intrigued by stories of a small town said to be haunted after dark, decided to stop and observe the area during the night. After parking his car, he turned on the camera flash, attempting to document whatever might be lurking. For a while, the footage seems ordinary, but then his attention is drawn to a nearby building. The structure itself looks eerie in the dim light, but what happens next is far more disturbing. A large, shadowy figure moves inside, clearly not human, its size and shape leaving an unsettling impression. Startled, the person recording quickly retreated to his car. He later posted the footage online asking others for their opinion. A local resident in a small Brazilian village was going about their day when something completely unexpected appeared. In broad daylight, a figure resembling a man was walking across an open area, but unlike any normal person, he seemed to glow intensely, as if illuminated from within. The witness quickly grabbed a camera and captured the strange sight. Locals said they had never encountered anything like it before, and no similar sightings have been reported since. Some viewers speculated it might be a man wearing an elaborate lighted suit, but the sheer brightness and consistency of the glow made that explanation difficult to believe. Others suggested more extraordinary possibilities, from angels to otherworldly beings. Or is it fake? A man was walking down a quiet street in Turkey when something strange on the road suddenly caught his attention. In the middle of the pavement was a long crack that appeared to be moving, slowly expanding and shrinking as if the ground itself was breathing. Surprised by what he was seeing, he pulled out his phone and began recording. Whether it's a rare geological reaction or just an odd illusion caused by shifting ground, the sight of a road that looks like it's breathing is enough to leave anyone feeling uneasy. A person was on a walk when something in the sky caught their attention. What first looked like an ordinary cloud soon revealed several dark shapes hidden within it, almost like figures standing together. Curious, they zoomed in with their camera to get a better look. The dark forms appear lined up in a row, and their outlines almost resemble humanoid figures standing inside the cloud. The person thought the figures looked far too organized to be random, so they posted it online. What does this mean? TikTok user Wonders of Google Maps often shares strange and unusual moments captured on Google Maps. But this time, the footage he posted felt far more disturbing. In the image, a woman can be seen walking out of a wooded area. Behind her, partially hidden among the trees, lies what appears to be a motionless body on the ground. Was it a tragic accident caught by a passing Google Maps vehicle, something far more sinister, or simply a staged prank? With no confirmed location or official explanation, whatever the true story is behind that image remains unknown. A group of friends were filming their hike through dense, grassy forest terrain. As they chatted, the camera captured something unusual in the background, something none of them noticed at the time. Moving between the trees, a large humanoid figure appeared. It looked slightly hunched, taking long, deliberate strides as it walked through the forest. From its posture and the way it moved, some viewers say it closely resembles the classic descriptions of Sasquatch. Meanwhile, the friends continued walking, completely unaware that this massive presence had just passed so close by. A camper was chilling on a patch of grass when something unsettling caught their eye. A seemingly ordinary grasshopper, but upon closer look, it was unlike anything they had ever seen. Red, unnatural growths were protruding from its body, twisting and creeping outward as if the insect itself was being taken over from within. The grasshopper had fallen victim to a parasite called Ophiocordyceps, a fungus that specifically targets insects. Once attached, the fungus spreads inside, consuming the host's tissue until it dies. But even in death, the fungus continues to grow, pushing out stalk-like structures, its reproductive organs, designed to release spores and infect the next victim. A horrible, yet interesting sight to see. TikTok user Haunted Detective shared a photo taken by a friend who was walking several dogs along a hiking trail. At first glance, everything seemed normal, just a quiet trail high on the mountain. When the uploader zoomed in on the background, something unsettling appeared. A pale-faced figure with dark hair peeked out from behind a wall. She seemed to be wearing a dull, worn-out dress, clothing that looked centuries old, completely out of place in the modern day. The only people there at the time were the person in the photo and the person taking it. Viewers immediately speculated whether it could be a ghost, perhaps someone who had died in that very area long ago. The location of the photo remains undisclosed, leaving the identity of the mysterious woman unknown. An explorer ventured into a dense, supposedly haunted forest at night, recording his experience. As he scanned the surroundings with his light, his attention was drawn to something unusual. A figure appeared, long dark hair draped in a white robe, standing silently among the trees. Startled, he turned and ran, retreating as fast as he could from the spot. Was it a wandering spirit haunting the forest, or just a clever prank staged to scare unsuspecting explorers? In June 2016, Floyd E. Roberts III, a 52-year-old experienced hiker from Treasure Island, Florida, set out with friends on a 9-day backpacking trip deep in Grand Canyon National Park. On the first day, near a place called Kelly Tank, Roberts and his group briefly split up to navigate a steep hill. When his companions reached the other side, he was gone. He was last seen walking toward a canyon trail, possibly heading for Trail Canyon or 209 Mile Canyon. Despite massive search efforts by park rangers, helicopter teams, and ground crews covering miles of harsh terrain, no trace of Roberts or his gear has ever been found. The area is remote, unforgiving, and filled with steep drops and hidden ravines, any one of which could hide a clue or swallow it entirely. What really happened to him on that trail is still a mystery. A Reddit user was camping near Glengar when he decided to explore the area surrounding his campsite. While walking along a nearby path, he came across an old gate. As he got closer, he noticed several small dolls hanging from it, with ropes around their necks. The strange display immediately gave him a bad feeling. He began wondering if it was meant to be some kind of art project, a prank to scare people, or possibly a warning meant to keep strangers away. Not wanting to risk finding out who put them there, the camper decided it was best to leave the area. A man set out on a solo hike, hoping to enjoy some quiet time in the forest while filming the scenery with his camera. Everything looked peaceful, until his camera picked up something strange ahead on the trail. Between the trees stood a dark figure, far larger than a normal person. It had extremely wide shoulders and appeared to be moving on 2 legs. But beyond that, the footage was too blurry to make out any clear details. Some people believe it could have been a person. Others argue it looked too long, too unusual for that explanation. The man never got closer, and the video ends without revealing what the figure really was. TikTok user Moises Makiasher was visiting a park in the evening with his wife and child. While they were playing, the man noticed something strange in the distance. A white head appeared, peeking out from behind a tree. The figure looked unusually tall and seemed to be quietly observing them. Some viewers believed it was just a person pretending to be a creepy onlooker. Still, the scene has a genuinely eerie vibe. Guy was hiking through a forest when something strange stopped him in his tracks. He came across a huge spread of animal bones scattered across the ground. The area was eerily silent. No birds, no rustling, just the scattered bones.
Absolute mess of nothing but bones.
The feeling of danger made him turn back as fast as he could. Who or what did this remains a mystery. In Northern California, people were casually skiing on a snowy day when a sudden avalanche near Castle Peak put them in immediate danger. Eyewitnesses reported seeing people buried in the snow, with 3 others desperately trying to dig them out.
Notable for an avalanche in the area of Castle Peak.
Search and rescue teams rushed to the scene, battling harsh winter conditions and limited visibility to reach the victims. After tense moments, the rescue teams managed to locate and free the stranded skiers, ensuring their safety. A woman was driving along a remote mountain road with her daughter when the stunning landscape around them inspired her to start recording a panoramic video of the view. While filming the mountainside, the woman suddenly noticed a figure walking along a steep part of the slope. She pointed it out to her daughter, but from where her daughter was sitting, she couldn't see anything, so the woman kept recording so she could show the moment later. When they watched the footage afterward, what they saw shocked them. The figure on the mountainside didn't look like an ordinary person. It appeared much larger, with broad shoulders and what looked like fur covering its body. As they zoomed in on the video, the shape seemed even less human than they first thought. Did the woman accidentally capture a Bigfoot-like creature? A man named Jason Howery was exploring a river in northwest Missouri when he noticed something unusual sticking out from the water. At first, it looked like a large piece of driftwood, but as he moved closer, he realized it was something far more extraordinary.
Oh, it's so fucking heavy!
Buried in the riverbed was a massive leg bone. Jason managed to haul the enormous fossil to shore. Its sheer size and weight made one thing clear. It belonged to an animal far larger than anything living in the region today. What he had discovered was the leg bone of a Columbian mammoth, a massive prehistoric relative of the more widely known woolly mammoth. These giants once roamed parts of North America, including Missouri, more than 10,000 years ago, during the last ice age. A Reddit user, Ghost in a Chair Tattoo, was out camping in the mountains when he heard a woman scream. They shunned their flashlight into the darkness, but there was no one in sight, and they didn't want to go into the woods to find out. Some insisted the sound was nothing more than coyotes. Others weren't convinced, saying noises like that should be reported, just in case. A man was hiking through a quiet forest when he decided to record his surroundings. That's when something unusual appeared on the trail ahead. A shadow, shaped exactly like a human, crossed the path, yet no one was there to cast it. Could it simply have been a trick of the light? Honestly, the clarity of the human shape makes it hard to believe it was just an illusion, right? A man was hiking near the Michigan border when something in the woods made him pause. He was following a clear path, dense bushes lining either side, when he suddenly felt like he was being watched. Glancing to his right, he noticed a pale face peeking out from the foliage. It was only partially visible, hidden between leaves and branches, but the shape of it was striking, almost ape-like, yet human at the same time. He raised his camera and snapped a few photos, capturing the unsettling moment. He believed it could be a glimpse of Bigfoot, but many online agree it looks more like pareidolia. A person was hiking in India when something unusual appeared in the night sky, and he quickly began recording. At first, a distant light could be seen moving slowly, but as the camera focused, it became clear that it didn't resemble a normal aircraft. The object appeared to have a defined shape, with a dark body and several bright lights glowing underneath, giving the impression of a craft silently hovering in the sky. Some viewers suggested it might simply be a drone or an experimental aircraft. Others believed it looked more like something associated with UFO or UAP sightings. Reddit user Golatu's motion sensor camera captured a chilling video. It was nighttime, and after receiving a notification, she grabbed a flashlight to investigate. As she moved carefully around the bushes, she noticed a pair of glowing eyes staring straight at her. Judging by the height and posture, it didn't resemble any animal known in her area. It felt humanoid. She remained frozen, realizing that approaching without protection could have been extremely dangerous. Even though it could have been anything, it didn't feel like just anything. A man started filming the sky in Sudan after something unusual began happening in the atmosphere around him. The sky, the ground, and even the air itself looked as if they had been covered in a strange crimson filter. Many people who later saw the video wondered if it had been edited or altered. However, locals explained that the region is known for powerful sandstorms called haboobs. These storms can lift enormous clouds of dust high into the air, drastically changing the way sunlight travels through the atmosphere. In this case, the reddish color likely came from iron-rich sand particles suspended in the air. When sunlight passes through thick layers of that dust, the light scatters in a way that can turn the entire sky deep red. even though it's a natural phenomenon, witnessing a storm like this in person can feel incredibly surreal. In September 2021, 31-year-old Joel Curtis Thomason set out on what was supposed to be a peaceful solo hiking and fishing trip in Yosemite National Park, California. He had planned to hike from Hetch Hetchy to Lake Eleanor and back over the course of a few days. Joel's last confirmed sighting came around 5 p.m. on September 6th, when a park ranger saw him crossing above O'Shaughnessy Dam. After that, he simply vanished into the wilderness. Despite massive search efforts involving the National Park Service and rescue teams, no trace of Joel or his belongings has ever been recovered. His family holds out hope, but he remains missing to this day, leaving behind a wife and young son. No one knows what happened to him. A man visited an old mining site late at night and stumbled upon something truly unsettling. At first he thought shadows were playing tricks on him. When he turned on his flashlight and began recording, it became clear that something far stranger was happening. Ghostly figures appeared scattered across the site, resembling miners at work, frozen in time, yet moving with an eerie purpose. The man said he could even hear faint sounds of tools echoing in the darkness, as if the spirits were forever bound to their labor. Many believed that some souls never leave this world, trapped in an endless loop, repeating the tasks they once performed in life. Maybe that's exactly what was happening here. A North Carolina landowner had set up a motion-activated trail camera along a narrow deer path, hoping to catch glimpses of local wildlife. Among the ordinary frames, one photograph captured this: a young girl standing squarely on the path, bathed in the dim light of the camera's sensor. The timestamp matched the automated capture of other wildlife images, yet no one had been near the property. The woods were private, remote, and largely inaccessible, and yet there she was. How had she appeared there, alone in the middle of the forest, and why did she look like that? So bright. A person was hiking alone through dense forest when they decided to film their surroundings, capturing just a few seconds of footage that might be shocking. In that brief clip, a large, hairy figure can be seen moving slowly through the trees, completely unaware of the camera. The creature fits the classic description of Bigfoot perfectly, including the poor camera quality. In this day and age, the footage should have been sharper, right? A man hiking near Nazca, Peru, a region already famous for its ancient geoglyphs and archaeological mysteries, claimed he stumbled upon something strange. Lying in the desert was a tiny preserved head, about the size of a potato. The skin appeared greyish-brown, dried and leathery, as if naturally mummified by the desert climate. The eye sockets were shallow, small, circular openings. It didn't look quite human. The head was reportedly taken for X-rays. Inside, imaging showed what appeared to be sinus cavities. That detail sparked intense debate, because sinuses are structures found in real biological skulls. Some people claimed this proved it had once been a living being. Others were skeptical. Peruvian officials and forensic experts have repeatedly stated that similar mysterious heads and small bodies found in the Nazca region were likely altered human or animal remains, sometimes assembled or modified to appear non-human. Nazca has long been a hotspot for sensational discoveries, but it's also a place where hoaxes have surfaced before. So was this tiny head an undiscovered archaeological artifact, or a carefully constructed fake? Without verified scientific publication and official confirmation, the mystery remains open. On June 24, 2023, 28-year-old Ian O'Brien set out on a solo hike in the La Plata Mountains of Colorado, near Echo Basin and Hesperus Mountain. Ian was an experienced outdoorsman who knew the rugged terrain well. Friends described him as someone who loved exploring the wilderness and often ventured into the mountains on his own. That afternoon, he began scouting a route toward the summit of Hesperus Mountain. At around 6 p.m., Ian sent a photo of himself at the summit to his partner, showing he had successfully reached the top. But after that moment, something went wrong. Ian never returned to camp. When he failed to come back that evening, his partner and friends quickly grew worried and contacted authorities. Search and rescue teams began combing the steep, overgrown terrain around the mountain. After several days, the official search was suspended, but friends, volunteers, and members of the local community continued looking for him. For weeks, dozens of people searched the wilderness around Echo Basin, determined to find their missing friends. Then, on September 2nd, 2023, nearly 10 weeks after Ian disappeared, 2 fishermen made a discovery in a remote part of the West Mancos River. They had found a body. The Montezuma County coroner later confirmed it was Ian O'Brien. Investigators determined that his death was a result of accidental drowning. Officials explained that his body had likely been hidden beneath 3 to 4 feet of water, making it impossible to see during earlier searches. While the discovery brought closure to his family and friends, the loss was devastating. Those who knew Ian remembered him as someone full of life and adventure. A group of people were deep in the woods, casually recording videos and talking about wildlife, when suddenly a strange and unsettling sound erupted from the trees behind him.
I don't understand why. I don't think anybody What was that?
Hey guys.
Startled, they quickly turned their cameras toward the direction of the sound, unsure of what they were about to see. Moments later, they heard this.
No, like, we last heard, like, something fighting in the bushes over there.
I heard something.
What is it?
Oh my god. What the hell?
Then finally, they caught a brief glimpse of something moving between the trees.
God. What the hell is that?
Oh, what the hell? Oh, what the hell is that? What is that?
What is that?
Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god.
What is that?
Guys, that's a
What the hell
Bigfoot.
is Bigfoot?
It's furry, it's furry. It's got fur on it.
Realizing the danger, the group decided it was smart to back away rather than follow it. So what was out there with them in the forest that day? Could it really have been Bigfoot? A 58-year-old hiker set out on what was supposed to be a 2-day winter trek through the rugged trails near Elk Lake in New York's Adirondack Mountains. But the hike didn't go as planned. Heavy snow had fallen across the region, covering the trails and making navigation extremely difficult. By the morning of February 24th, 2026, the hiker realized he was still miles from where he expected to be. Concerned about the worsening conditions, he called his wife and told her he needed help. Soon after, authorities were notified and a search operation began. That night, 7 forest rangers started combing the snowy wilderness. But the following day, the search expanded to more than 20 rescuers, battling deep snow and freezing temperatures. 2 rangers, Duchesne and Adams, decided to leave the main trail and investigate a set of fresh snowshoe tracks they spotted in the snow. Carefully, they followed the trail downhill while calling the hiker's name. Then suddenly, they heard a faint response. Moments later, they spotted him standing on a frozen riverbed, cold, exhausted and shivering, but alive. A New York State Police helicopter was quickly dispatched to the area. The hiker was airlifted to Lake Placid Airport, where he was treated for mild hypothermia and frostbite. Fortunately, he survived the ordeal. A Reddit user was on a simple day out at the beach near Warden Point. They were exploring old World War II bunkers and hunting for fossils, when something unexpected caught their attention among the large rocks that break up the waves at the shoreline. Hidden near an opening in the stones was a cluster of sticks and rope, and beneath that, a broken stone head that looked oddly out of place. They spent hours trying to extract the stone head from the rocks, unable to leave it behind, and eventually brought it home. At first, it seemed like an interesting, odd find, perhaps a piece of a garden ornament washed up after a storm. But soon, after returning home, strange things began to happen that the poster couldn't explain. Objects started moving on their own. Odd sounds were heard around the house, and an uneasy feeling followed them wherever they went. So let this be a lesson. Never take anything like that home. Some things are better left alone. A man decided to explore the woods at night when suddenly a sharp, unexpected sound made him freeze. He swung the camera around, scanning the trees and underbrush, but at first saw nothing. Then, low on the forest floor, he noticed something.
Oh, what the is that?
A dark creature lying on the ground. He had no idea what he was looking at. Some viewers suggested it might simply be an opossum or another woodland animal resting in the dark. But others pointed out something strange. If it really was an opossum, wouldn't it have run away the moment it noticed the man approaching? So was it just an animal caught at a strange angle, or could something more mysterious have been hiding in the woods that night? A group of friends were hiking through the forest, documenting their day so they could look back on the memories later. The mood was light, nothing seemed out of place. But while reviewing the footage afterward, they noticed something they hadn't seen at the time. In the background, partially hidden between the trees, something was moving. Slowly, a figure began crawling forward. Its body looked bent at an unnatural angle, dragging itself across the ground. The way it moved didn't look normal. The closer it seemed to get, the more unsettling it became. And then, the clip ends, and no updates were ever shared explaining what it truly was. In September 2025, 6-year-old Darius McDougall vanished during a family camping trip in the Crow's Nest Pass region of Alberta, Canada, near Island Lake Campground. That weekend, a large group of family members had gathered at the campsite to celebrate several birthdays. There were 10 children in total, including Darius. At one point, the children were asked to help tidy up the campsite while the adults packed their things. During that time, Darius and 2 other children walked across a nearby body of water to play. About 20 minutes later, the 2 children returned, but Darius was no longer with them. His family immediately began searching the area, calling his name through the forest. When they couldn't find him, they contacted the RCMP, who arrived within about 30 to 45 minutes. What followed was a massive search operation. More than 400 search and rescue volunteers from Alberta, British Columbia and Saskatchewan joined the effort, along with 60 RCMP officers. Search teams used dogs, helicopters, drones, ATVs and ground crews to comb the rugged wilderness. But despite the enormous effort, not a single trace of Darius was found. After 11 days, the official ground search was called off. Investigators later said they have no credible evidence that Darius was abducted, though the investigation remains open. The search was made even more difficult because Darius is autistic, meaning he might not respond when people call his name. Searchers even played his favourite song in the woods, hoping it might draw him out. Months later, his family continues to return to the campsite where he was last seen, refusing to give up hope. His step-grandfather still keeps vigil at the location, waiting and hoping for answers. But no one knows what happened to little Darius or where he went. A young man was walking through the snowy woods with his mother. At first, everything felt peaceful until they noticed strange footprints in the snow. Curious, they followed the tracks and soon spotted the creatures that had left them. From a distance, 2 dark figures moved through the forest. Now is it just me, or does it look like a person in winter gear walking with their dog? Let me know what you see. A visitor to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania shared a photo taken from the top of Devil's Den. At first glance, it looks like a completely normal scene, nothing unusual. When the image is zoomed in toward the tree line, something strange appears. Partially hidden among the trees, a blurry figure can be seen. It almost looks like something standing there, watching. The person who took the photo insists no one was in that area at the time. And considering Devil's Den is one of the most historically significant and reportedly haunted locations at Gettysburg, some believe it could be a lingering spirit tied to the battlefield's past. Others say it's simply a trick of shadows, light distortion, or pareidolia. But with a place that holds so much history, you can't help but wonder. In June 2025, TikTok user Jenny Farici5 started hearing non-stop dog barking, along with other strange noises outside her house late at night. Curious and a little uneasy, she began recording. But what she captured was far more disturbing. In the distance, a faint white figure appeared, and alongside it, a chilling cry echoed through the night. Some viewers quickly connected the sighting to La Llorona, the crying woman from Hispanic folklore, said to wander near rivers and lonely roads, weeping in the darkness. The legend tells of a spirit searching endlessly for her lost children. But could this really be authentic evidence of La Llorona? In April 2024, 37-year-old Danielle Lopez set out on a camping trip in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. She told her mother she'd be staying at the Brendan T. Byrne State Forest campground for the weekend. Danielle had some camping experience from childhood, but she wasn't known to be an avid camper. The next morning, April 13th, Danielle stopped at a Wawa convenience store in Vincenttown, New Jersey around 9:11 a.m. Security cameras captured her buying a cup of coffee. That would become the last confirmed sighting of her in a public place. Days later, when Danielle stopped answering calls, her mother grew concerned and eventually reported her missing to the New Jersey State Police on April 24th. Investigators soon located Danielle's car, a 2008 blue Hyundai Accent, on Lost Lane, a remote dirt road deep in the woods about 13 miles from the Wawa. The vehicle was stuck in a large puddle in the sand. The battery was dead, but when investigators jump-started the car, the hazard lights turned on. Inside the car, police found several of Danielle's personal belongings, but one important item was missing: her phone. Despite extensive searches of the surrounding forest using drones, helicopters, search dogs, ATVs, and ground teams, there was no sign of Danielle. Then investigators discovered something unexpected. Two people who had been filming with a GoPro camera in the area on April 13th came forward. The footage showed Danielle walking down Lost Lane around 6 p.m. that evening. She appeared calm and did not seem to be in distress. That brief moment on camera became the last known sighting of Danielle Lopez. Since then, police have interviewed dozens of people and followed every lead. So far, investigators say there is no evidence pointing to foul play, but after months of searching, Danielle has still not been found. Her mother continues to hold on to hope. Outside her home, she tied a yellow ribbon around a tree, a symbol meant to welcome Danielle home if she ever returns. For now, the mystery remains. What happened to Danielle Lopez after she was last seen walking alone down the remote road in Pine Barrens? If you have any information about the disappearance of Danielle Lopez, please contact the New Jersey State Police Department Missing Persons Unit. Someone living in a cabin in the woods heard noises outside. He went out and recorded the dark forest.
That. Oh, nah.
If you look closely, there's something there. Something that looks human. It could just be a person crouching, or maybe it's a ghost. I don't know which is scarier. The man panicked and ran back inside, locking all the doors. He hasn't seen it again. This clip is believed to date back to the early 2000s and was reportedly discovered by a park ranger. No one knows who the person filming was, and there's no record of what happened to them afterward. In the footage, the camera suddenly begins shaking as the person starts running through the trees. Their breathing becomes heavy, and it's clear they are trying to escape something behind them. Then, something appears, and suddenly, the video cuts off, and no explanation followed whatsoever. Did a park ranger really find this footage? If so, what happened there? For more scary camping encounters, watch this next video.